Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. Grab your vices, chill out, and let's get straight to it. This is episode 53 of the Straightforward with Ms.B podcast. So, welcome everybody. How you guys are doing today? Ooh, excuse me, I'm fucking up the music already. But hey, it is what it is. But how you guys are doing? I've been doing great. We were off a week. And so don't kill me for being off a week. But I'm back, and you know what? We gonna get into some shit today. Yes, we will be speaking about the forthcoming Freaknik documentary. No, I do not know. I believe it's going to be produced by Jermaine Dupri and Luther Campbell, Uncle Luke out of Miami, but I do not have details. But that has been all the buzz within the last week or so. You got your aunties and your uncles getting a little bit nervous out here in these streets because, not only will it probably, the documentary will probably showcase all of the fun that we used to have back in the 90s at this annual event, but also I'm sure that the documentary is going to get into some of the, awful things that occurred as far as the sexual assaults and things of that nature. So, we have a lot of individuals, a lot of us college former alumni and people who wasn't in college at the time as well who attended. Some people are getting a little bit nervous because, hey, they are living a very wholesome life nowadays. They got families, they have kids, and they got jobs and careers. Some people just live a totally different life. And if they are happen to make an appearance in this documentary, it would be a shame if they were butt naked. You know what I'm saying? If they had on skimpy clothes, a little two-piece, shaking their ass, doing this and that. So yeah, I can definitely understand. Luckily for myself, I won't tell you my exact age. However, I am in my 40s, and yes, I was a college student. I am from Atlanta. However, I did attend college in Alabama. But of course, that was only a couple of hours drive to Atlanta when Freaknik was going on. So, I was definitely there in attendance for a couple of them. I believe I may have went 2 or 3 years straight. And then after that, I was done. I think my last attendance to Freaknik might have been 97, possibly 96, 97. After that, I was just kind of over it. I was tired of being in the traffic, standstill traffic. It's just, to me, that's the most annoying part of going to something where there's, thousands and thousands of people participating. It's just being in traffic. And as you know, Atlanta has always had a very bad traffic issue here. So just imagine back then how awful it was to just be in standstill traffic. I mean, if you were planning to go to the club or go to the park or something like that to hang out, you couldn't get there. Really, you couldn't get there. You found yourself just parking lot pimping or in traffic, just at a standstill, and that's where most times people kind of had their fun and shit just popped off. It popped off in the traffic. So so I wanted to kind of use this podcast episode to dive into Freaknik a little bit more, and we will also discuss kind of what do people consider to be a little bit too freaky, as in just people themselves and how they take their image. And what I'm speaking of is just little Uzi and Doja Cat, where they had some things come up in the news recently that I, just kind of had questions on. But to start off, hey, we getting straight to it today. Let's talk about Freaknik, okay? So, Freaknik, just for background information purposes, Freaknik was kind of started in the 80s. It was a very small, maybe a couple of hundred people out of the Atlanta University Center. For those of you that's not familiar, Atlanta University Center basically is an area where there's multiple colleges. So you have Morehouse College, Spelman College, Clark Atlanta, and also Morris Brown College. So they collectively called that unit the Atlanta University Center. However, back in 1983, according to Wikipedia, 1983 basically it started as a small picnic in a public park. I believe John A. White Park might have been the park that they started it in. But there was like a student club called the DC Metro Club, where they would host this little annual event, just to kind of give students, a little break from the norm and give them, time to kind of party and fellowship with their friends and have a good time. And, yeah, so they came together. Like I said, it was a couple of hundred people that became kind of like an annual thing. Then eventually, Freaknik, as we know it, grew into something very much, it became epic, man. I tell you, by the time the 90s rolled around, the shit was just off the chain. It went from a couple hundred people attending this event. Word started spreading to other states, other colleges and universities, and then thousands of people started to come to Atlanta to, participate in this weekend full of festivities. So it would be things like concerts going on, of course, parties after parties after parties. It would be dance contests. It would be basketball tournaments. I believe they also had, what was the music? They had like this music conference thing. I forgot what it used to be called. I want to say Jack the Ripper music conference, some shit like that. That will be going on during Freaknik. Of course, they would do like job fairs. Corporations would come out and, because, hey, like I said, initially it was college students, but, so why not try to offer people jobs, while they're down in the city. But like I said, it definitely became something very, very huge for the city of Atlanta. It went from, like I said, hundreds of people to 15,000 people to 300,000 people coming into Atlanta. They would congregate at Lakewood Fairgrounds, Piedmont Park. I believe the couple of years that I did attend, we would go to Piedmont Park. I mean, we're in the park, just, floating around, looking at the dudes, you know what I'm saying? Dudes hollering at women. But like I said, after a while, it just became kind of unbearable. People will start shooting out at the park. Some girls, I myself did not wear anything skimpy at the time. I was on my TLC, wave back then. So I kind of dressed like a tomboy, baggy clothes, colored braids in my hair, things of that nature. So I've never put myself out there when it came to, just how much my clothing would be revealing to men. That wasn't me. However, I didn't knock any female that chose to dress that way. But yeah, so, other females will wear like bikini tops. They'll have like the jean, what we call booty shorts, or the biker shorts. You know what I'm saying? And then be twerking. Hey, twerking has been around for quite some time. So hopefully, millennials don't think that they invented that shit in the 2000s. No, you did not. Twerking has been around for quite some time. But yeah, so, with that, unfortunately, you had individuals, men, who would just automatically think, hey, well, she's dressed that way, so she basically is inviting me to grope her or touch on her, unwarranted, which was not the case. And it just definitely became something that was serious. The city of Atlanta, and the mayors at the time, like Bill Campbell, Kasim Reed, who came along later, they just did not want that going on in the city. You know what I'm saying? Looting, people, looting stores, breaking into stores, stealing stuff. It was just a lot of violence that was happening. But hey, what can you expect when there's 300,000 people in a city, and the traffic is so bad that we can't really make it to these prospective venues in order, to be able to control the crowd a little bit more at these venues. We couldn't even make it to the venues. And then the police department eventually, after years, they started blocking off certain exits, so you couldn't go down certain exits, because a lot of the business owners, people in the neighborhood associations, and community leaders, they're like, hey, now these people are invading residential neighborhoods and they're causing havoc in our neighborhoods. We have to do something. We need this to stop. So as you probably can guess by now, eventually it had to stop. It had to come to an end, unfortunate end, because it was so live. I remember 94 Freaknik, I think specifically, I think that's the year that I probably had the most fun at Freaknik. I had my girls. We all came, friends that I made down in Alabama at Alabama State. We went up to Atlanta, came up to Atlanta. I believe I was driving around. I think either we had rented a car or I might have been driving my mom's Ford Explorer. I was smoking that bitch out. Hopefully my mom don't listen to this, but yeah, we was smoking that car out, y'all. But yeah, we riding around in the city. I believe I met this dude, one of my close friends out of Delaware. I won't say his name, but I met him in the crowd, in the traffic. I remember I saw him and we just locked eyes. It was like, love at first sight. And we just kissed in the middle of traffic. It was so crazy. Shout out to him. He's married and everything now, but we have maintained our friendship, all these years. But it was just so hilarious. It's so hilarious, man. But I had so much freaking fun that year. It was still wholesome at that point, meaning that you can go to the West End, walk the mall, stick around in the parking lot, people playing their loud music. You know what I'm saying? We all just having fun, people drinking, people got their cameras, who did have video cameras at the time, and they were just shooting video, and it was still kind of wholesome fun. By the time I would say 96 came around, that's when shit started taking a wild fucking turn. And it was just, it became too much. Going back to this Wikipedia article, basically it just says, back in 1998, according to, as reported by the Associated Press, it says that the Atlanta Committee for Black College Spring Break should no longer welcome Freaknik. It says, quote unquote, we cannot support events that bring lewd activities, sexual assaults, violence against women, and public safety concerns. Fire trucks not being able to reach victims and ambulances not being able to reach hospitals in a timely manner, said committee chairman George Hawthorne. It says by 1999, the celebration of the festival, which had then left out of the city of Atlanta and kind of migrated to DeKalb County, which is the east side of Atlanta, it died down due to heightened police security. In April 2010, Atlanta officials said there is no permitted Freaknik-related events inside the city limits. This was according to Atlanta Mayor Kasim Reed at the time. And he also stated that he would be tough and even sue the organizers of any Freaknik related activities who violate city guidelines. Of course, after a 20-year hiatus, there was one last official Freaknik being in 1999. Atlanta-based promotion company After Nine Partners and Carlos Neal they had contracted Uncle Luke, Juvenile, Trina, and some others to kind of spearhead and help revamp the Freaknik. Summer 2019, Freaknik featured hip-hop and R&B music artists performing at the Solaris Amphitheater. Other activities were available throughout the city, such as community service events. There was, they say, about 20,000 people who actually attended the one in 2019, but they all, luckily were adults who participated, and they were adults who just remember, kind of nostalgia for the 80s and 90s, the time that they grew up, at the original Freaknik festival or Freaknik event. So, yeah, so like I said, Freaknik was a wild place, but let me just not put it all on Freaknik as well. There were other college kind of sponsor related spring break events that used to happen. I know for the Caucasians, maybe, we hear a lot about Panama City. I think Panama City has been a place as far as within the U.S. that college kids started to go to. But back in my day, in the 90s, we also had Daytona Beach. Daytona Beach was a place where you kind of see the same type of, activities. We had fun at Daytona Beach. We used to go to all of them. Daytona Beach. Then you had Myrtle Beach as well. That was more like a college-related bike. People who ride motorcycles, they call it Bike Week or whatever. That happened at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So there was always these other events that took place that did garner the attendance of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of my brothers and sisters, and we had fun at every last one. Like I said, once it started getting to the point where it was just crazy out there, then hey, I was like, I was over it. I had graduated, got my degree. I left school and I was just over it. I wasn't going to none of that shit no more. I didn't really have a reason because I was focused on getting money, having a good job, and starting my career, my corporate career. So but yeah, I don't know, like I said, a lot of people is getting kind of nervous for this Freaknik series that's supposed to be coming to Hulu. I think it's going to be interesting. I think people will be tuned into it. What I am curious about is, because there were so many people who were filming, different facets of, of Freaknik. Like, I'm curious to see if somebody is going to sue, especially if you happen to have a picture. Are they going to, I think they probably, to safeguard any lawsuits, like, hey, you didn't have rights to use my likeness in your show. So I think they probably will blur out faces. That way people, won't be able to sue Hulu and JD and Luke. They need to blur out faces. But yeah, especially if they get to the sexual assault topic and the violence against, other violence against people and women. I think to safeguard themselves, they definitely need to make sure that they blur out the faces on that series. But this topic also had me thinking, like, could something like this, a festival of this nature, work again, in today's society? I personally do not think so, especially here. Well, here in Atlanta, we also still do, like, I think they brought back the Midtown Music Festival. You know, we always have like jazz festivals. We have so many little beer festivals, seafood, barbecue, you know, so many different little festivals like that that happen throughout the city and even in the outskirts, whether it's in Marietta, Alpharetta, DeKalb County. We always tend to have like festivals going on, but something that is dedicated strictly to the urban community. Um, I don't think it would definitely, you know, work either these days. It would have to have definitely heightened police security, law enforcement, outside protecting everyone, because there has been, of course, a lot of shootings happening. You know, it's so many mass shootings. It's just so much that goes on in different cities around the world, not just, you know, in Atlanta, but just around the world in general. Um, that the crime levels definitely will, you know, be a deterrent to something like that happening again. I think that, you know, the college kids, urban college kids do need a place. You know, they be want to do spring break. Sometimes they go out, maybe go to Cancun, I believe, you know. However, it would be good to see something freaknik in nature, to return for college kids to attend. However, I think that, like I said, because, you know, it's just a lot of crime that's happening these days, people getting robbed, people getting killed. It definitely will, you know, it probably will just deter, you know, anything like this ever returning again. It was a time stamped in history for those who had the opportunity to come to Freaknik in Atlanta. Hey, we're left with our great memories that we had, and hey, that's all we have. You know, as well as photos that I was around the house trying to find my old Freaknik pictures. I ain't came across them yet. But yeah, we have videos, photos. Hey, they are just, you know, distant memories at this point. And I don't think it's ever going to return. Speaking of freakish, like I said, in the music industry, a lot of times artists will do things to either, you know, rebrand themselves, create some new buzz. Maybe they have a project, album, or anything like that that's coming out soon. And I'm wondering if this is the case for Uzi Vert. Uzi Vert and Doja Cat, actually. Uzi Vert came out. He was in Thailand. There was a big festival. I believe Cardi B participated in that festival. A lot of other entertainers. Uzi came out and he actually introduced the world to his alter ego, Leslie. Just to give you guys a picture, Uzi is a very, very small, I think he might be 5 feet. He's a very small, petite man. He is very talented rapper. He definitely kind of, he walks that fine line between when it comes to his drip and his fashion sense. He does teeter onto the feminine side with some of the choices that he makes. When it comes to clothing that he wears fingernail polish. So he introduced this new person, Leslie. Leslie had pink extensions, because he's been growing his hair out. So he had his hair straight combed, flat ironed, but he had pink extensions in the back. He had his pink nail polish. He had on some little glasses, and you know, people have been, you know, just kind of like, I think even his fans is kind of like, oh my God, like, come on, dude, you know. And he was in Thailand. He had a video of him eating a cockroach, like a fried cockroach. So it was like, what are you doing? Okay, you got this song that has been buzzing on TikTok. It's up the charts. Shawty wanna rock, 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 rock. That song right there. So I'm sure he's coming out with a project. I believe it's going to be called the Pink Tape, if I'm not mistaken. Is he doing all of this part of, like I said, part of promotion for his upcoming project? If he is it taken too far? Like, how far do an artist specifically need to go in order to create buzz for a new project? It's almost like dang, are you, and sometimes some people think that, he like I said, teeter on the satanic side as well. Some of the things he may say, or tattoos and things of that nature. So it's like, you're going to do all of this for the sake of helping to promote your next project. And, people are really questioning, like, do he even need to do all that? I personally do not think that Uzi is talented enough that he does not need to do all the extra bullshit in order to promote an album. And I feel the same way as I segue into speaking about Doja Cat. Doja Cat as well, I believe, has a new project coming. Doja Cat is someone who's a little bit different. Some may consider her as being a little bit rude. I like her music, however, but she recently debuted a tattoo of a mythological figure. However, there are some people who relate that particular tattoo image to be one that is satanic. Satanic. She did end up kind of going back and forth with people about her choice. She did provide and try to educate us on the meaning behind the image, which she clarified that it was part of Fortunio Lassetti's 1665 edition of De Montrice. De Montrice. So De Montrice, basically, he was an artist. His name, Lassetti, was an artist. And De Montrice basically was a visual commentary on deformities in nature, with basically the artist choosing not to see these differences as errors or failures in the course of nature. Instead, he likened nature to an artist who, faced with some imperfection in the materials to shape, ingenuously created another form still more admirable. That is what I'm reading here on BuzzFeed. Like I said, even though there was some clarification on Lassetti's image and maybe why Doja chose to get that tattooed on her, hey, some fans is like, okay, why are you glamorizing Satan? And she just basically, Doja has a smart mouth, and she just kind of like, she's not really letting the criticism get to her. And, sometimes as an artist, I do believe in individuality. I do believe in people doing what the fuck they want to do with their life, with their bodies. If this is something that she chose to do and it has a deeper meaning to her, then by all means, tat it up. Tat it up. Shout out to Fabo. But by all means, tat yourself up. I don't really care. It's their body. A lot of times, as people be getting tattoos. Hey, I got maybe a tattoo on myself that I probably would want to not necessarily remove, but maybe get covered up. But hey, who knows? Some years from now, Doja may feel as though, hey, this is too much. Why did I do that? Have second thoughts about it and get it removed, or even, covered up with something else that is a little bit more holy, to say the least. Maybe she'll do that. But yeah, like I said, I don't really care. I don't really care what people do with their lives. But yeah, would I have gotten this tattoo? Hell no. I would not have done that. But hey, like I said, she does what she want to do. Hey, she does what she want to do. And yeah, it seems as though, like I said, this may also too may have been a stunt being pulled by Doja Cat to help promote her next release. Looking at Billboard, it does say that yeah, she has a project that is going to be coming out. It says the 27-year-old superstar. Oh, excuse me. The 27-year-old superstar. What is going on? Oh, Lord. Anyway, she took her, don't you just hate when you trying to go to a website? This is a sidebar. You try to go to a website and 1,000 goddamn ads be popping up. It's like, oh my God, please. Anyway, the 27-year-old superstar, she did take to her Instagram stories and basically drop hints of a 19 song track list for her upcoming album. She had songs on it called Attention, Love Life, 97, Wet Vagina, Can't Wait, and an unfinished song called Uchi's. She has yet to confirm, however, if this actually going to be the track listing for her project. The project is tentatively titled Hellmouth, according to TMZ. So hey, maybe with the Hellmouth title of her project, maybe this is why the Demontrice image was tattooed on her, because it maybe coincides with that. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I am not a super fan of Doja Cat. However, I think that she can rap. She is creative. She can sing a little bit. I like her music. So it'd be interesting to see how she kind of flips this Hellmouth thing, since people are thinking that she may be satanic. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how she flip it. She's always been kind of a weirdo to me. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about today with you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. As always, if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have critiques, I am welcome to all of that. Definitely DM us. You can email us as well at straightforward STR, the number 8 FWD media at gmail.com, or you can find us on social media, STR, the number 8 FWD Ms.B on all social media platforms. And yeah, just tell me how you feel, and I would definitely appreciate it. Tune in to us. Our podcast playlist is listed on YouTube, as well as Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Apple, Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us as well. Thank you so much for all your support, and until next time.